Hey everybody, and welcome back to Restaurant Recipe Recreations. This channel is dedicated to teaching you how to create your favorite signature dishes from the most popular restaurants. And in this episode today, I'm going to teach you how to create the signature potato dish from Fleming's Prime Steakhouse, and they're simply called Fleming's Potatoes. Now, what Fleming's potatoes are a very thick and hearty au gratin made with cheddar and jack cheeses, Monterey Jack, and jalapeno and sauteed leeks. If jalapeno is not your thing, if spicy is not your thing, obviously at home you can choose to leave it out entirely. If spicy is your jam, like it is mine, I have a fire tongue, it couldn't be spicy enough for me, I would add more. But I'm going to teach you the Fleming's recipe, and then you can go ahead and adjust it to your taste at home. Fleming's Steakhouse is one of the most popular upscale steakhouse chains in America. I believe they have worldwide locations, but certainly in America. They're right up there with Delmonico's and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And Fleming's was founded by a gentleman named Paul Fleming, obviously, therein lies the Flemings, who actually did get his start as a franchise restaurant owner for Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which is the company chain that I had a very lengthy and successful career in years ago. And if you're interested in learning about any of the recipes from Ruth's Chris, stay tuned, because some of those menu items are definitely going to be featured in upcoming episodes of mine. Now, normally in my other episodes, I have all of the ingredients that I need already portioned out at the ready, but I decided in this episode that I was going to take a more step-by-step approach, because there's some different and interesting things that we'll be doing in this that I would like to show you how to do if it is something that you've never done before. So for example, I'm going to mandolin, which is very thinly sliced, the Idaho potatoes. I'm going to show you the proper way, or at least the way that I think is the best, to clean leeks, because leeks can get very dirty. And let me know in the comments section below if you like to see a little bit more detail in my episodes. Would you like me to step-by-step walk through each and every part of the process? Or are you more comfortable with having everything at the ready and me just showing you how to put it all together? Either way, let me know, because I'd be interested in hearing your comments. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do the step-by-step process in teaching you how to create the Fleming's Prime Steakhouse signature potato called Fleming's Potatoes. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do for this dish is we're going to prep and clean the leeks. Now, leeks have a tendency to get very dirty because in the layers there, the dirt can and does get down into the layer. In fact, you can kind of see here where, see, look at that right there. The first thing that I like to do when working with leeks is to actually cut the leeks in whatever it is that you're working with. So for example, in this, we're going to be working with about a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch dice. So you cut it into the dice first, and then you wash it, because that way you're assured to get all of the dirt off. Cut off the root section of the leeks and discard those. And you're also going to look, when working with the leeks, for the whitest part of the leek. All of this green is going to be cut off. It won't be used for this dish. It starts to get a little bit of a light green here. That's still okay, but for the most part, I'm going to take the lightest part of the leek, and we're going to use that. So as I said, we're going to work with about a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch dice. These are two, I would say, medium to large size leeks. And that's what we're going to need for the recipe. So we're going to cut it down the center. It's like an onion, and you can see how there's all of these layers here. That is where the dirt has a tendency to get trapped, and that's what I'm referring to as far as cleaning. And we're just going to make, like I said, about a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch dice. Okay, next we're going to dice the jalapeno. I have to wear gloves. I always recommend when you're working with peppers to wear a latex glove if you happen to have them, or just even like a kitchen glove, because the oils get on your hands. I wear contacts. And I have had jalapeno and habanero pepper oil on my fingertips when I've taken my contacts out, and let me tell you, it'll send you through the roof. Literally, I thought I had to go to the hospital. I was in so much pain. So, lesson learned, latex gloves. We're going to go ahead, these are two fairly large jalapenos. Go ahead and take off the stem, cut it lengthwise. And then you're going to take out the rib and the seeds, as you would just normally a pepper. Sort of cut down the sides there, and it'll just peel right out. The rib and the seeds are where you get the majority of your heat when you're working with peppers. And if you don't like jalapeno, if you don't like heat, leave this out entirely. If you like, as I do, which is a ton of heat, then add 2 more or 4 more. Okay, so I've cleaned the ribs, the stems, and the seeds. The stems and the seeds. Got y'all. So I've cleaned the ribs and the stems and the seeds out of the jalapenos, and I'm doing them in a medium dice. Who got that? Oh, who am I kidding? You all got it. Well, certainly, if you're my age, you did. Which, by the way, is 32, in case you were wondering. Okay, I just opened myself up to so much right there, so please don't be nasty in the comment section. I know where you live. Well, no, I don't really. All right, there you have it. My jalapenos are done. Let's move on. Okay, so I have my leeks in a cold water wash. I'm just going to stir them around a little bit, make sure to knock off any of that dirt, and then we're just going to strain them out. Tamp it, get out the excess water, and set aside. That's all you're going to do for that. Okay, so now to make the cheese sauce, I am back in typical form in that I have everything that I need ready and portioned out to go into the cheese sauce. I've got my grated cheeses here. Here's the leeks that we diced and cleaned. I've got my jalapeno. I've got the heavy whipping cream. I've got everything that I need right here at the ready. I have all of the portion amounts in the description below, all of the ingredients with the proper portion amounts. So go ahead and take a look at that when you're creating this dish. And so now we're going to go ahead and build the sauce. After this, we will slice the potatoes, and then we'll go ahead and build the au gratin. Okay, I have my pan on medium-high heat. The temperature is about 400 degrees, and we're going to let that get up to temperature. And then we're going to add a half of a stick of unsalted butter, only unsalted. I'm kind of preachy about the salted versus unsalted butter conversation because I feel like you can always add salt at the end. I think that salted butter actually changes the flavor of the butter, and we're not looking for that. We want just, you know, the butter in its purest form, and then any salt that's needed in the dish, we'll add it later. While that's melting, we're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of minced fresh garlic. Garlic in its raw form, as you probably know, can be kind of harsh. So we want to let that brown in the butter just a touch. Good way to keep it from burning is to keep it moving around in the pan. A nice translucent color. Is translucent really a color though? It's probably like a lack of a color, right? If my 18-year-old son was here, he would definitely have an opinion on that, because thankfully for me and my husband, he is the smartest person in the room. The smartest person in every room and in all of the rooms. So we have that to be grateful for. If you have an 18-year-old, I'm sure you know what I mean. Okay, now we're going to add the jalapeno, the diced jalapeno. Let that go for just a few seconds. All right, let's add the leeks. So we're going to let those just sort of sit and get friendly in the pan, cook down, and get wilted. Okay, peeps, now that the leeks have gotten translucent and wilted, we're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of chicken stock. And we're going to go ahead and let that simmer a little bit. Now that the leeks and the peppers have been simmering in the chicken stock, I'm going to add my cream. This is 2.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. I'm going to give it 8 to 10 cranks of pepper. Now for the cheeses here, I have 8 ounces of a yellow cheddar, freshly grated, only freshly grated cheeses in this house. And then we have 8 ounces of a Monterey Jack, which is obviously like a white cheese. But we're not going to put all of that into this. I'll go through the amounts in just a little bit, because we're going to top the au gratin with a little bit of this cheese as well. So you want to reserve some of the cheese so that you've got it for the nice baked cheese topping. Now that I've added the cream, the heavy cream, to the chicken stock and the leeks, I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer and reduce for just a little bit. And then we'll add those cheeses. I started with 8 ounces of cheese each, and I've put about 6 ounces of each cheese into this mixture, reserving 2 ounces each for the top of the au gratin. So I've got about 12 total ounces of cheese in this mixture. Okay, I've turned my stove down to a low heat, and I'm going to go ahead and let this continue to simmer and then reduce even a little further before we go ahead and build the casserole dish with the au gratin and the potatoes. Okay, now that we have the cheese and the cream sauce finished, we're going to slice the potatoes. If you slice the potatoes too early, they have a tendency to get brown, and you don't want that. Some people like to slice potatoes and then put them in an ice bath. The ice water does prevent the potatoes from getting brown, but what it also does is it leaches out the starch from the potato, and in this dish you definitely want that starch. And also, if you put the potato in the water, your potatoes are going to get very wet, and when you go to layer the au gratin, you're going to have that excess water, which can make your potatoes au gratin runny. So I do the potatoes right at the very end, so that way the potatoes stay fresh, they don't get brown, and they're also not waterlogged. I'm working here with a commercial grade professional mandolin. You can buy a mandolin on Amazon, a plastic one. Anything really works well, but I don't think I need to tell you, when you're working with a mandolin, please be very, very careful. And it is sharp. I've seen some terrible accidents happen, thankfully never to myself, but in all of my restaurant years, I have seen a lot of situations happen with the mandolin. So please just be very careful when working with it. Nice even strokes. Take your time. Don't take your eye off the prize here. You don't want to be distracted looking around. And you want nice, thick slices. Okay, I've got my sauce here ready to go. I've got, this is a 9-inch by 11-inch 2-quart baking pan. I'm going to go ahead and spray with a nonstick cooking spray. So you just start by simply putting down one layer first, evenly distributed across the bottom. A layer of the bechamel with the leeks and the cheese over this layer. Now you may have noticed that I did not put any salt into the cheese sauce because I'm going to actually salt each layer of the potatoes with just a tiny bit on each layer. And you just keep building it exactly like that. And now we're going to take the last bit of the cheese. Remember, it was 2 ounces each. Get every last little bit of cheese in there because that's where the magic happens. Now I'm just going to cover this with foil. I'm going to place it on top of a cookie sheet so that the sauce doesn't bubble over and get all over my oven. And you're going to want to do the same thing. Save yourself the mess and the headache and the cleanup. And we're going to put this in the oven for 350 degrees for about an hour to start. Okay, my peeps. So this casserole dish went into the oven at 350 on convection bake for a full hour covered in foil. And then at the 1 hour mark, I took off the foil so that the top could get a nice brown crust to it. When you remove it from the oven, you want it to set on the counter before you slice into it for at least 20 to 25 minutes. That way it gives the potatoes an opportunity to soak up all of that cheese sauce, and you're not left with this runny mess when you cut into it. Okay, everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fleming's Steakhouse Signature Potatoes. Write in the comment line if you would like me to feature a signature dish from your favorite restaurant. Please consider subscribing to this channel. We'll see you again real soon. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers.